Hey guys, this is the Saigami Project. My name is Andrea Otilia Vörös, aka Sunny. I'm the creator of the manga series Saigami, published and serialized in Saturday AM, the bi-weekly digital manga anthology. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to do focus lines and flash lines digitally. Last week, I showed you how to do these techniques traditionally only. If you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out because it might be interesting, especially if you're an artist working traditionally mostly. But in today's video, I'm gonna focus only on the digital way. As you can see, I have a drawing monitor in front of me. This is an XP Pen 15.6 drawing tab. And I'm gonna be using Manga Studio mostly, but I'm also gonna show you how to do these sort of things in Medibang, which is a free app or free software to use on various surfaces. And probably this is something you can also do in other softwares, but since I'm mostly using Manga Studio when it comes to drawing manga, I'm gonna focus on this software. It is very similar to also to Clip Studio, highly similar to Medibang as well, so if you can see how it's done, you probably will get the gist of it on how to do it. So let's jump into it. As you can see, I have this template in front of me from my manga series Saigami. I use this very same template printed out to do the traditional speed lines and focus lines. So I figured I'm gonna use the very same for the digital as well, and maybe then we can even compare them. So what you will need to do is, basically there are multiple ways to do speed lines and focus lines and all these kind of effects. You will have to create a new layer. I already created a new layer. It is very important when you are working digitally to keep in mind that you will have an easier time if you keep separate things on different layers, like backgrounds, characters, effects, everything, because that will help your work tremendously. Alrighty, so when you have your new layer, you go to the ruler tool. It is above the A here. It might look different depending on which you selected the last time, but you go to the ruler tools and you can see here a bunch of digital rulers, or you can see the saturated line tools here as well. To be honest, I don't use the saturated line tool ever. I use it very rarely because I'm a traditional artist mostly. I do these effects mostly traditionally, so I don't really use these, but they can be pretty useful depending on which you use. Of course, if you go to the properties of this tool, you can see that you can adjust everything. So you can play around with the brush size, the angles, the line variety, the line length, everything, and you can create cool effects. And you basically just select the tool and draw a circle, and there you have your focus lines pretty easily. And you can play around with them with the object selection tool. You can move these around, so you can create focus lines relatively fast and pretty easily. You can move around everything, you can adjust everything, so it is pretty easy to use. It even creates a new layer if you're using these tools, so that helps your work as well. But to be honest, I don't really like these tools because I prefer to use, even when I'm working digitally, I prefer to basically do similar techniques when it comes to traditional. Of course, these are pretty useful. Even if you pick this like dark saturated line, you can create a curve, and basically you will draw a curve here like this, and it will create your focus lines accordingly. You can play around with them, or you can create the bursts. Admittedly, the burst tool is pretty cool. I really like that. So that creates, depending on how many lines you use. Now I have a very few lines here, so you can adjust that, like the length, brush size, so they can be thicker. Let's see. You can see a miniature here, so that can help your work as well. So depending on how you arrange things, this can create a really cool effect. Like, you can use this for speech bubbles, thought bubbles, and you know, depending on how you arrange things, it will look differently all the time, and it will always create a new layer. So you can play around with those tools, but at the moment I want to focus on another tool. So I'm gonna zoom in here a little bit, and I'm gonna go back to the ruler tool, and here you can see a special ruler. I'm gonna select the special ruler, go to this small gear here, which will let me adjust the tool, and as you can see here, you will have a roll down menu here, and that will allow you to use parallel lines, parallel curve, multiple curves, focus line, focus curve, concentric circle, and guide. I will hit the focus line, and with this I'm gonna create a vanishing point. I'm not sure if you can see here, so I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. It has those small purple lines. It will show you the angle of your focus lines. And now that I have that special ruler as my guide, I'm gonna just hit the G pen tool. Let me set it up to 30 pixels, and I'm just gonna start drawing the lines. And I don't even have to focus on where my lines are going, because they will head towards that direction, because I already have a focus point. So I just need to draw my lines. Of course, the technique for the lines is the same as traditionally. At first you press down your pen a bit harder, and then with a quick movement you let it out. Of course, this is way easier digitally, because you don't have to move around your ruler, you don't have to pay attention that your lines are heading towards the focus lines, because they will, because that's how you have your focus line set. So you really just need to do a few lines going towards that direction. They can be thicker lines, bolder lines, thinner lines, you name it. It's basically completely up to you. And it is basically done. Way faster than what we did traditionally, as you can see. Of course, I will have to do a bit of cleaning up, because as you can see, my lines are outside here, but it was the same when I was working traditionally. But of course, I can just select the areas outside of the panel and use the eraser tool. And this is basically your whiteout face. Of course, you can do this work in advance, like you can select your panel first and only draw the lines afterwards, because if you have the panel already selected, that will help you to stay within the lines, so you don't have to do this extra thing. You can even select the characters to make sure you don't go over your drawing with the characters, but you know, even if you do, you can always just do the erasing and make sure that none of your artwork has those speed lines where it doesn't supposed to have it. So that's pretty much it. This is for the focus lines. As you can see, it's super simple, super easy. You can adjust them even like after you did them, so it's super simple, super easy. And now for the beta flash, I'm gonna create another layer, and I'm gonna add one more special ruler, and I'm gonna add a focus line. For example, here. And for the beta flash, if you remember it from the traditional video, we're gonna be doing the focus lines, only that they won't have any gap in between them. So I'm just gonna start doing the lines right next to each other. Of course, this will require a little bit more time, even digitally. So, but it is very faster and easier than doing traditionally. You don't have to wait for the ink to dry. You don't have to pay attention to your ruler. So obviously, yeah, it's so much more easier and so much more comfortable. And we basically created the flash. I'm gonna erase the rest here. select this. Oops, wrong layer. Once again, pay attention for your layers. Selecting the layer here. Goofing up a little bit. Okay, now that I have this area selected, I'm just gonna fill it in. And as you can see, the vanishing point is still there. So if you want to do some extra line works, like for example, I want to make sure that these aren't here, you just need to basically turn off your ruler by going here and show only when editing the target, hit the check mark, and now your vanishing point is gone, so you can draw the lines now regardless of that vanishing point. So now I can go over those lines. And if I want to make some more corrections, then I can just turn it back on. For example, now our vanishing point is back, and if I want to make some corrections to this flash, I can do it with the white pen. I can do some more lines with the black. So you can play around with these, and there you have your effect. Super simple, super fast. And of course, you can play around with all of the ruler tools. You can create curved, focused lines, everything. It's really easy. As long as you have your vanishing point, you can use different tools to create these effects. So, in fact, digital will let you have more opportunities, and it will grant you a faster and easier work with easy corrections to make. Now, this is about Manga Studio 5, but I'm gonna switch to Medibang Paint Pro. Yeah, this is a free software, and it is basically very similar to Manga Studio, to Clip Studio. It is meant to be a program to create manga with. So it also has a bunch of tools that can help you do these manga style effects. I'm not too familiar with Medibang, so this might not be the right way to approach it, but you can create a vanishing line or vanishing point here as well by these tools. They have a bunch of guidelines there, and if you hit the pencil or pen tool, you can create the focus line just like in Manga Studio. So it's pretty easy. But as well, if you have a Medibang account, you can download various tools. For example, you can download Speedline Span, which is kind of cool, admittedly, because you just I'm gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna turn off the focus point, and basically you just hold down the pen and you can create the focus lines. You can create a beta flash pretty easily. Of course, it looks kind of weird at first, but if you play around with it, it is admittedly really cool, and this is definitely the fastest way to do a flash or focus lines. So these tools are pretty cool. You can adjust everything, so that is really cool. The other Speedlines tool I didn't play around with too much. It looks kind of weird for first, but if you adjust everything, it probably will look better. So yeah, Medibang has very cool effects and focus lines and beta flash and everything. So this is a fun tool and fun software to play around with. And the same goes for Manga Studio, Clip Studio as well. You know, you can set everything according to your favor in this software. So in fact, digital won't hold you back. I prefer traditional for a long time because I felt like I can do more traditionally. But nowadays, even these digital drawing softwares have so many opportunities, so many options for you that they won't hold you back. They can make your work way faster and easier if you can learn these techniques. So yeah, although I consider myself to be a traditional mostly artist, I would say that this round I would give to digital, because you can take a look at my previous video. It was a long video with speed ups, but indeed the effects traditionally take a lot of time. There was a lot of factor that made it slower. There was a high risk of mistakes to be made. So definitely it is way easier and faster to do these effects digitally. And of course you can always just do a combination, like for example I did here with the characters and the panels. Everything is drawn traditionally, but I can do the effects digitally. So you can always combine the best of both, and you can also work fully digitally as well, which has many benefits. I also started to use more digital effects recently, especially because I need to meet my deadlines with many works, commissions, the comic pages for Saturday AM. So anything that can make my work a bit faster is a big help for me. So to show you a few examples, I zoomed in here quite a bit, but as you can see, I used a grayscale screen tone as a base, and I created some flash lines or focus lines here with the white effect. The drawing themselves were traditionally done, but the effect was done digitally. It was fast and easy, and on this panel I also created the focus lines because I wanted to gain a bit more time, and to be honest, at first I didn't know what kind of focus lines or effects I want to use. So this is basically like my third version of this image, because I was experimenting with different focus lines or flash effects. So it took me like 3 attempts to settle with this effect for the big dramatic effect for this page. So digital has a lot of benefits, and I myself find that recently I like to tend to go with digital effects mostly, because they can save me a lot of time, and that's a good thing because it allows me to create more artworks, to create more videos for you guys. So yeah, digital is a good thing. And of course there are many other manga effects that can be done both digitally and traditionally. So if you're interested in effects, leave a comment. What kind of effects would you like to be interested in? I plan to do more videos because these are I think fun. I like to make them. I like to work with various effects in my manga series. So if I can help you learn these effects and help you create a better manga, for example, I would be really happy to do so. So if you have any questions, requests, please leave a comment below in the comment section. And of course, if you find this video interesting or useful to you, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will be alerted every time I upload a new video. And share it if you think your friends or family will enjoy it and find it useful as well. Also, huge thanks for everyone who purchased my books Saigami Volume 1 and Volume 2, or subscribed to Saturday AM, the bi-weekly digital manga anthology, where my series is running alongside with many other cool series like Apple Black from White Manga, Paradise Dam, Bully Eater, Flock Striker, Soul Wheat, and many other cool series like Hammer by J. Odin. We have big things to come, big announcements are coming, and we just recently published our 94th issue, which is by the way a free issue, so you can download it for free. And we are getting closer and closer to our 100th issue, which is a huge milestone for us. So I'm gonna leave all the links down below for Saigami, for Saturday AM, for all of our social media, mine and Saturday's AMs as well. So please check them out. Also, special thanks to my patrons on Patreon, and thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.